2 अक्टूबर को हमारी मक्कू की एनिवर्सरी होती है। अंकल को अंकल नहीं बोलो तो क्या कोई और ऑप्शन है? ये तो अंकल या आंटी बस, और क्या होता है? अब पाजी हो गया, प्राजी हो गया। आप इंतजार कीजिए, मोहम्मद अली का जो कम्युनिटी से रिलेटेड शो लेके आपकी खिदमत में हाजिर हो रहे हैं। जज़ाकल्लाह। अमामा ये कौन बशर है? अल्लाह ही जाने। वाह, जाने कौन बशर। वाह,
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're well. Just about to go live on air. Assalamualaikum, good evening everyone. Hope you're well. It's Mr. Ali with his Community Wellbeing Show, coming to you from the studios of Radio Aap Ki Awaaz. I hope you're keeping well. I hope you are also keeping warm as well. The temperatures have dropped. And today we were supposed to have the local Washwood Heath Police join me today. But unfortunately, with the recent spate of burglaries, with the lack of resources, they are now aren't able to cope with the lack of officers that they have to be able to cover and give us an officer to spare, but we are going to get them in a few weeks' time. So there's 3 points that I'm going to be touching on today. Hopefully you will be able to join me. First of all, it was Mental Health Day a couple of days ago, and it's an important topic that I keep on championing, that I keep on bringing to the airwaves and putting onto my platform as well as much as I can. It is a subject that we are getting more and more awareness of, something that we are gradually embracing and having a lot more knowledge and a lot more acceptance of, and that whole stigma and the taboo is slowly being eroded away as well. So even today I just met a relative of mine, and he was saying that he has had to give up his part-time job to look after his son, who's about maybe 20, 21, because of the severity and the exacerbation of his son's mental health, that he wasn't able to cope, and he's now had to give up his job in order to look after his son. So it is something that we're still not able to provide the solutions and the holistic health to, and it is something that unfortunately we don't readily talk about and accept. And too often, if there is someone with mental health, we don't include them, we don't treat them as a person, we tend to ignore them and make fun of them as well, and that's not nice. Hence why they are normally housebound, they're normally secluded in their own rooms as well, in the bedrooms, and the whole situation then gets from bad to worse as well. So this is something that I know all of us have a duty to make sure that we treat everyone with respect. We include everyone, and they are a human being. They have got feelings, and we can't just say to them that they're pagal or there's something not right, and not treat them with the respect that they ought to be given as well. So something that I wanted to do. And tomorrow, my fellow colleague Muhammad Amin will have Cyprus, who has done an enormous amount of work with the NHS and with the council around mental health. So he will be coming on tomorrow, 8 o'clock on Radio Aap Ki Awaaz. The other thing that I also wanted to touch on before I get on to my main topic, which is all about Islamophobia, which is all about racism within the UK. And I've got the latest UK Home Office data, and it makes for very stark reading in terms of how this year on year it's getting bad to worse, and especially Islamophobia, especially racism as well. It is not something that is being handled from a top up or a bottom up approach as well. And we still don't have the APPG definition of Islamophobia. So if you don't know what even Islamophobia is, how can we get to the root causes of this as well? And the Tory party in particular are really guilty of that as well. So I will be sharing with the data with you in about 15-20 minutes. But before that, there's something that I wanted to share with you was that we've had over the last, I would say maybe 2 to 3 weeks, a recent increase, a spate of burglaries, whether it is house burglaries or whether it's car burglaries across B8. So I'm talking about Islam Rock, I'm talking about Ward End, I'm talking about Washwood Heath, and these are young people, by and large, that are brazenly, that are without any due care of attention, without the long arm of the law coming down hard on them. There are absolutely no care, no fear whatsoever, and they are now going and targeting houses and streets where they think they will get huge amounts of cash and valuables from those houses as well. And so just to give you some local data, we've had, as Island Rock Community Forum, we have been contacted by scared neighbours, family members, victims who are telling us that on Morris Road, on College Road, and on Tarry Road, and also on Southern Road are all streets that have been recent victims of house burglaries as well. And there's one car in particular that is doing serious damage. That is a black Golf, and the registration number is BW690 OHK. So let me repeat that. So it's a black Golf, BW69, so it's a relatively new one, OHK, and they are normally 3 young gentlemen. They have a balaclava or a face mask over, so you can't really identify who the perpetrators are. They've been caught on camera as well, house CCTV cameras as well. They've been caught on there. However, they aren't scared whatsoever. And in one particular case, the one on Tarry Road, who are my distant relatives, they managed to climb up the front of the house and through the front top bedroom window, again openly, quite early evening, wasn't too late, and they went, ransacked the house, took some belongings. Within about 3-4 minutes, they were out of there. They knew what they wanted. They knew what room to target. It's almost that they've been given some sort of a tip-off, some sort of intelligence, what to do, what house to burgle, and where to go as well. So that is extremely worrying as well. So that's something that we are going to touch on. And I suppose people are now thinking, what are the police doing? What are the local councillors doing? What are community leaders doing as well? And unfortunately, at the moment, like I said, the police are extremely stretched. So we all have a collective community civic responsibility to be able to tackle this once and for all. And we have to use the social media. We have to set up neighborhood street watches as well and start taking more collective responsibility. And I've seen some comments on social media, the police aren't doing this, it's the police responsibility. Yes, by and large it is, but we are the victims of the crime. If I am the victim of the crime, I'm not going to just blame everything on the police. We as a community, we as a street, we as neighbours all have a responsibility to keep an eye on each other's properties and belongings and houses as well. If we are going to be just moaning and complaining about the police, my house is burgled, that's not going to make me any better. That's not going to make me feel any more secure as well. So please think about some of the comments and do not negate and do not derelict your own duty in this matter as well. We are citizens of Birmingham. We are citizens of the UK, and we have a role responsibility to play as well, because the police are us and we are the police. They are not a separate entity. They are not someone that come from outer space to come and marshal our law and order. It is from within us that we have to work together with the different stakeholders to ensure that we have law and order and that they are afraid of the long arm of the law. So I have been in touch with the local sergeant, and unfortunately he is very apologetic about him not being here in person. However, what he has done, he has given me some local data as well. So please, in the meantime, before I share you the local data for Islam Rock and Washwood Heath, the studio number is 0121 682 8142. Please ring in, share me your own, any anecdotes, your own personal experience of being victims of crime, or whether you have seen people burglaring or going into properties. What have you done? Have you reported anything? A lot of the times when we see people being victims of crime, we tend to, shunt away. We tend to not take our responsibility seriously. Often, when there is a victim, when there is someone being beaten up, when there is a car accident or any sort of break of crime, how often do we actually call the police? Very little. Hardly anyone does. The first thing they do is they walk away, or what they'll do is they'll get their phone up and they will start recording, for social media purposes, get their phone out, and they don't think about, okay, whether we should call the police, whether we should aid the victim if it's safe to do so, and maybe try to get some sort of identification of the individual or the car, so at least the police have something to go on. Most of the time, like I said, we do it for cheap thrills, cheap likes on social media, and or if not, we just walk away as well. And that is not the way forward. We all, like I said, we have a responsibility, community responsibility to play our role. So, for those of you that are listening and watching, over the last 2 months, so August and September, how many burglaries do you think that an area like Washwood Heath, Ward End, Islam Rock would have experienced or would have been reported to the police? And there is a stark difference between the two. What's actually happened and what has been reported to the police is a wide spectrum. There is a real divergence between the two. They don't marry up. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So between the August and September, the police have only had three residential burglaries that have been reported to them. They've had only 2 businesses reported of burglaries. They've had 1 car burglary as well. So in total, for burglaries, which includes cars, which includes businesses and residents, we've had a total of 6 for a period of 8 weeks. Would you believe that? I certainly don't think that's an accurate reflection of the true crime figures for Ward End and Washwood Heath and Alam Rock. And in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I can, in one hand, count about 5 or 6 burglaries that have happened. And this is for a period of 8 weeks that we are talking about. So I think, for those of you that are having any burglaries, it is absolutely imperative that we report that to the police. Phone your local police station. If it's not of an emergency nature, go on to social media and report it that way, or go on to 101 and report it. It is absolutely vital that we report any crime figures to the local police. It is only by that we can hold the police to account. For example, if the local sergeant was here now and we try to then admonish them about their presence, their engagement, their reassurance with the local community here in Alam Rock, what he will then retort is that, look, we've only had 6 reported crime figures for burglary in residence and businesses, both for cars and also for residents. Then what am I supposed to do? My hands are tied as a reporter, as a community influencer, to say anything to the local police, because they can only go on by what they see in front of them. And then other areas, for example, domestic violence, example, car ticketing in terms of speeding, that's where they will divert their resources. So it's important that we report the crime figures, so we give the ammunition to the inspector, to the sergeants, so they can get more resources, more officers on the beat here, and they are able to then prioritize house burglaries, car burglaries, business burglaries as well. So we have a very important role to play in this, and I can't stress this highly enough. So for that individual who said that, no, it is up to the police to tackle this and we shouldn't be involved, then I must say to that young person, to that sir, please think about some of the comments that you are making, think through about the points that you are making, and it is not them and us, it is we are all in this together as well. So moving on, if I can, I've got some more data for you as well. I have also, so previously were actual burglaries. I'm now going to share with you attempted burglaries. These are burglaries that weren't quite successful. They may have been distracted. They may have been put off, or whatever, they may have been scared off as well. So in total for September, there were 4 attempted burglaries around Washwood Heath, which includes the whole of B8 as well. And in terms of visited victims, okay, and in terms of vehicle crime, there have been 104 vehicle crime. Okay, 104 vehicle crimes, and these are your typical vehicle crimes. For example, someone may be speeding, they may not have any road tax, they may not have any insurance, and the vehicle may have been stolen. And these are some of the examples that the 104 vehicle crimes that were categorized as well. Okay, so as a result of this, and because of our pressure now of Radio Aap Ki Awaaz and myself, and also Alam Rock Community Forum, because they are now seeing a gradual increase over the last 2 or 3 weeks, they are now in the process, the police, the local Washington police, are now in the process of setting up a new police team to specifically tackle vehicle crime and also burglaries as well. So that's just one small example of how we can all play a part in making sure that the police tackle and prioritize those areas which are of our highest concern. So I hope that is a small result that it is, and I will be sharing that on my various platforms as well. And what they have done is the police have visited all these victims of crime and attempted crime as well. And what they are now saying is they're going to do a follow-up visit to these households and to these individuals in order to share with them what they can do in order to safeguard and to make their property a lot more secure. So they're trying to work on prevention rather than cure as well. So please, my urge to all of you is be safe, be alert, and look out for each other. Look at what's going on. If there's any kind of suspicious or out of the usual behavior or any kind of erratic individual around, maybe eyeing up your property or your street, then just keep a quick surveillance. Maybe let each other know. Maybe form a WhatsApp group. I know a lot of streets have their own WhatsApp group. Take a photo, report, so everyone is vigilant about what is going on. And through our collective efforts, inshallah, God willing, we will come through this bleak winter without any kind of victimization, because that is the last thing we need after the hike in energy prices, with the rising costs of fuel, rising costs of energy, rising costs of grocery. We don't need any more pressure for our lives as well. And in a few more weeks, the clocks will be going forward, and it will be getting dark more and more as well. So here we are. Just a couple of questions as well and a couple of points. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope you're well. Lovely to see you all. How are you, my brother Javed? Lovely to see you. Missed you so much. And nice to have you back. With the dark winter nights coming upon us, we need to take care and be more aware of our surroundings and environments around us. I know with the energy price rise, it may be difficult to keep lights in hallways and rooms on during the light. Absolutely, brother Javed. And what I must say, and I have invested in some, you can get some fantastic solar lights as well outside that you can put on, maybe in your front garden or on your wall, the up and down two-way gang lights they're called as well. And just, wherever. And also if you have a front gate, please make sure you lock that gate, secure it, because anything that you will do to deter, to make it more difficult for the criminals to get access to your property, it has been recorded, it has been evidence that they are less likely to target those houses where simple tactic of locking your front gate if you have one and making sure it's well lit are simple tactics that you can use. And then what they will do is they will then leave yours and go to somewhere else where it may not be as well lit, or it may be easier to gain access into the property as well. Get yourselves and your family into good behavior such as that. And if you aren't able to switch the lights on, which is understandable, then there's other ways you can do. And like I said, form a team, form a WhatsApp group, let your neighbors know, check on each other, be vigilant, maybe take some duty, share the rota around as well. And these are simple tactics that we can do beforehand as well. It's all very well sharing the data and the messages after the incidents, after the event has happened, but why would we not? And would it not be so much better if we were able to do that in advance? As I say, prevention is better than cure, and it's so much easier to use a pot when it's all together rather than to trying to glue it when it's all cracked open as well. So there we are. So if you are a victim of a crime, then let us know. If you have fear of crime, then let us know. And what's your tips for the listeners of Radio Aap Ki Awaaz as well, in terms of safeguarding and protecting your own home as well. Do let us know. We love to hear more from you, and only by sharing best practice and best results can we continue to look after each other and make sure our property and belongings are secure as well. And I think I have been a victim of crime whereby I normally used to leave my car keys on the steps going upstairs, and about 7-8 years ago, some people managed to gain access to my front door and saw my car keys on the stairs and were able to drive away my car. And the following day, I was completely bemused about where my car keys were. And it was only until when I tried to go to my car in case I may have left it there or something that I realized my car was missing, and there was no sign of a break-in whatsoever as well. And even some of these double glazed doors aren't the most secure, so it's worth maybe having a double secure 5 or a 7 lock, or having a separate one of those chain key locks as well, key chains, key locks. It's important to do that as well. So we all got different stories, and it wasn't pleasant. And for a good, since then, after that, I got some more locks installed as well. And it was a shame that, I suppose it's human nature, that I wasn't able to do it beforehand. I wouldn't have been a victim. But luckily the insurance were very understanding, and they did pay out. So I am going to now just go to a quick ad break and play some music as well. A bit of Art of Aslam. And then what I'm going to do is, for the last 20 or so odd minutes that I have left, I'm going to share with you the latest data from the UK Home Office data that was only published last week in terms of racism and Islamophobia. And I want to see how we fare in that. I want to get your thoughts. And I'm going to be inviting someone from MEND, from Tel Mama, from the 5 Pillars, to come to the studios and discuss, and we will go through these crime figures in a lot more detail, and then also get through the analysis in a lot more detail as to why that is happening as well. So and why the authorities aren't doing anything about it. So please listen to a bit of Art of Aslam, and inshallah I will be back with you in a few clicks.
जन्नत भी गवारा है मगर मेरे लिए ऐ कातिबे तकदीर मदीना लिख दे ताजदारे हरम ताजदारे हरम ओ निगाहे करम ताजदारे हरम ओ निगाहे करम हम गरीबों के दिल भी संवर जाएंगे हम ये बेकसां क्या कहेगा जहां हम ये बेकसां के फरियाद लाए हो निगाहे करम वरना चौखट पे हम हो निगाहे करम वरना चौखट पे हम आपका नाम ले लेके मर जाएंगे ताजदारे हरम ताजदारे हरम.
That was Ataf Aslam, who was reciting Tajdar Haram, and I must say he's got one of my favourite singers. He's got a lovely voice there as well, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did as well. And for those of you that are joining in, it's Mr. Ali with his Community Wellbeing Show, coming to you from the heart of Island Rock. Heart of Birmingham in Island Rock, and you can listen to us on www.aapkiawaaz.co.uk. Alternatively, you can also download Radio Garden app, Hindi radio app as well. You can also listen to us on various social media platforms. The studio number, as always, is 121 682 8142 as well. So just to give you a bit of a background, so every Tuesdays 8 to 9 I do my community wellbeing show to you today, and today I had the local sergeant Warren Hickenbotham who was supposed to come in, but unfortunately with the lack of resources and their overstretched commitments, he wasn't able to come in. But nonetheless, he was able to provide me with the local crime figures that we shared with you half an hour ago. And the main consensus that we had was that we aren't reporting enough. If you are a victim of crime, if you see anything, please don't just turn your back. Don't just get your camera out, report it to the police. It is absolutely imperative that if we are going to hold the police to account, we're going to get them to prioritize on our concerns and our fears, then we have to pick up the pick up the phone, report it on social media, ring 101, do whatever we need to report everything. And it's only by them having the data, by them having the stats, that we will be able to get the necessary forces and the necessary manpower coming in. Now what I'm going to do is spend the next 10 minutes or so sharing with you the latest figures that were published by the UK Home Office 2022, and these are from March 2021 to March 2022, and what they do is they compare year on to year on crime figures. So let's see how we get on with the latest data as well. So this was published in May 2022, and in total it doesn't make a very good reading at all. So in terms of the number of race hate crimes, so anyone who may be black, anyone who may be Asian, maybe even East European, someone who is victimized, who is abused based on their race, the figures for the last 12 months was a staggering 109,843. Wow, what a six-figure sum for us to be experiencing in this modern age, and that's an increase by 19% compared to last year. The figures have increased by 19%. That is abysmal. And I want to know what the authorities, what the police, what the police crime commissioners, what the government, what is elected representatives, what are they doing about this? These figures haven't been talked about. They haven't been shared widely, and no one is talking about this. And this is why it was important that Radio Aap Ki Awaaz shared these figures with the wider public domain, because we will not tolerate these. Those are 843 individuals, separate crimes of hate that have been perpetrated, that have been received by the individuals over a 12-month period, and this is simply not on as well. In terms of now, so those were race hate crimes. I'm now going to drill it down to religious hate crimes. So people now may be victimized or abused simply because of their faith, whether you are Islamic, Sikh, Jewish, of other faiths as well. And let's see how that compares to the previous year. So I've just mentioned 8,730 cases of religious hate crime over a 12-month period compared to the previous year. And if you thought 19% was bad for race hate crime, it doesn't get any better. Okay, 37% increase in religious hate crime compared to the previous year. And we say that UK is a tolerant country. We say there is no racism in the UK. These data prove it. And we have the Tory party who aren't going and agreeing to a cross-party, all-party parliamentary group to define what Islamophobia is. And it has been proven that the Tory party are now, as an institution, anti-Islamophobic, anti-Islam. And also, recently we had the Labour Party who were accused of being institutionally anti-Semitic. It comes from the top. We have to root out all kinds of phobia and hate crime. Let's drill some of these figures down to even more to look at when we say religious hate crime, which group are we specifically talking about? What does the figure and the evidence lend to? So out of the 8,730 individual crimes against someone's faith, a staggering 42%, which is about 3,500 cases of those religious hate crimes, were targeted against Muslims. So 3,459 of those victims were against people that identified or categorized themselves as Muslims. And we know that out of that 3,459, mostly the victims are women that wear a hijab, niqab, a headscarf, who are overtly Islamic in terms of their dress code and their tradition. They are the victims. So out of that 349, we know a lot of the Muslim women are the main proportion of that 3,459. And let's compare that with the second most common religious hate crime. Let's find out who it is. It is anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish. But that came as a very low second. So the number of anti-Islam or anti-Muslim crime was double of what the second most common religious hate crime was, which was anti-Jewish. Does that make sense? So that gap between first place and second place was stark, was very significant, and it was actually almost double. Okay? And this is something that, again, I urge each and every one of you, if you have experienced any form of discrimination based on any of your characteristics, especially something that is very overt, which may be your skin color, whether you're from the black, Asian, minority, ethnic group. I know that that particular abbreviation or that adjective is now being reviewed to see whether they can think of a better one, because a lot of people again, call it BAME or BME, and I keep on stressing that the Asian community is a far bigger ethnicity as a group than the black community. A lot of the time what they will say is the BME community, or they will miss the A, or when they include the A, they will say black and minority ethnic. It's not and. A doesn't stand for and. It is Asian. And when I was on a virtual call and when I highlighted and I flagged that out, I was told, oh, you are just nitpicking and it's just nuances. No. How can you completely ignore the biggest minority group here and call it and, or don't even include it in the abbreviation that we have as well. So I think that's absolutely important. And as I was alluding to earlier as well, please, can you report every incidents of hate crime? It may be on social media. It may be someone just walking down the road and call you a name. Report it, log it. It is only by reporting and logging it are we able to hold the government, the council, the crime commissioners, our elected representatives, and importantly, the police to account, and making sure that Islamophobia is recorded, is offered as a separate a crime, because it is by and large, by far, the most perpetrated crime as well. And we have a duty to report it because, like I said, half of all religious hate crime is against Muslims, and we know it is not against mostly Muslim men, but it's against Muslim women who are brave enough in this day and age to wear a headscarf, hijab, or any kind of head covering or a niqab as well. That is their democratic free choice. There is no compulsion in them to wear it. They do it out of free will, and they get a lot of protection and away, and it keeps them away from, peery eyes as well. So I am going to get someone from 5 Pillars or Tel Mama or men to come in and sift through this data in much more detail. And when the police come as well to talk about the local crime figures, I will be sharing this data as well. But that is very disappointing, and I'm very disappointed in the government for not agreeing on the definition on Islamophobia. That is something that they must do forthwith. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining in, and hopefully I'll have with you someone next week which will lend to a fruitful conversation. And as always, thank you very much for your time and effort. Please look after yourselves and each other. Check in your neighbours. And at this moment in time, the nights are drawing much in. And please continue to look after yourselves and each other as well. Until next week, God bless. Look after yourselves and each other.